Alright, this is John Cole with okraw.com. Today we have another exciting episode. Before you got another whiteboard episode where I'm going to be pulling out some scientific studies to make my point, to share my beliefs about these topics that I'll be discussing. So the first thing I'm going to say is that I'm not a doctor, nor am I have any kind of degrees in nutritional science, but like literally this is my life. I almost lost my life over 27 years ago when the doctor said I might not make it out of the hospital alive, and long story short, I need to figure out what happened to me and how I could prevent that. So I got on a fruit and vegetable based raw diet way back then, and been eating a raw vegan diet for the last 27 years, and more recently introduced some small amounts of heat processed foods that are heat processed in very special ways. Links down below to the video on that. In any case, I just want to let you guys know this because, you know, my thoughts on a raw foods and high fruit diet have changed over time based on some of the science and based on my personal experiences, my personal blood tests, and seeing what was happening. And so that's what I want to share, because there's a lot of dogma in the raw foods movement, especially some of the raw food teachers out there. Hey, I love them all, but you know, they maybe share information that may work for them, but I want you guys to be aware of other information, especially based on the science. And, you know, I want you to know what I'm doing in case you think it's valuable. All right, that's all I'm going to say about that. So here's the thing. In nutrition, you know, there's a common thing that is said that we need enough of certain nutrients, right? We can't have too little, and we can't have too much, right? If we get too little sun, we're not going to make enough vitamin D. If we get just enough sun, we'll make enough vitamin D. But if we get too much sun, you guys are going to get sunburn. So in science, they have what's called the J-curve. So that's basically, you got a graph here. You got two axes. Maybe you put amount of sun and amount of time on either of the different axes. And then you'll have how much sun are you getting? Or you know, sun or time. So basically, as the time goes up, right, it gets bad. So you could get sunburn here. This is not enough sun because you're not going to be making enough vitamin D. You're not getting enough sun. Sun is also very important for sleep cycles. You need to get exposed to a lot of bright light, especially early in the morning is the best to actually be able to sleep good. And then you got the sweet spot. So if you got, you know, like my nephew, he plays baseball. And on the baseball, a lot of you guys have played baseball, and when you connect with the baseball and hit it right on the bat at that perfect point, it's called the sweet spot, right? The sweet spot, that's when you're going to hit that home run. But if you hit it up top, higher or lower, it might be a foul ball, might go out, you know, somebody might catch it. But you want to hit the sweet spot when playing baseball, much like you want to hit the sweet spot when aiming for how much sun to get. How much sun is the sweet spot? That is for up to you to determine. That depends on a lot of things. Your latitude, your longitude, you know, your specific diet, your genes and your skin color, all that stuff. But what I will say is that, like, right at this point at the bottom of the U curve, right, this is like the ideal amount of sun you want to get to have, you know, the best health. Get too much sun, you could cause burning, and get too little sun, you know, it's definitely not good because you're not going to be sleeping, not going to be making enough vitamin D. The cool thing is, for many things in nutrition, this U curve would also apply. So whether we took out sun and time, and whether we just put like the amount of vitamin D in our blood versus how much D supplementation you're taking, right? Pretty much the same thing applies. You know, if you're not getting any supplemental vitamin D or getting any sun, you don't have enough vitamin D, that's bad, because now your immune system's not going to function, and a lot of other things may not be working properly in your diet, you know, until you get to the sweet spot. And hey, you don't have to hit the exact sweet spot, man. If you guys are in a range of, like, you know, maybe between here and here, right, in a fairly good area, right, you're going to be fine, because, I mean, these things adjust commonly over time. But, you know, a lot of people that don't get enough sun, that live in northern latitudes, that don't supplement with vitamin D or vitamin D-rich foods, whether they are animal-based or vegan, may be too low. Now, if you're one of the crazy people like, oh, I'm just going to supplement vitamin D because more is better, right? And that's a common belief in many cultures, that we think, especially as Americans, think more is better. A bigger house is better. You know, a bigger car is better. You know, if one thing is good, if fruit is good, then a lot of fruit is better, right? And in many cases, these things do not hold to be true. Hey, if you got a bigger house, that's great, but you got a lot more cleaning to do, right? You have a lot more places to put your stuff, which is having more stuff good? We're not going to get into that. So yeah, you want to be in the ideal sweet spot. You're probably never going to hit it, but you could get in the nice median range where you're healthy, and that's what a blood test would show in the case of vitamin D. You know, there's many nutrients that are like this, including things like iodine, right? You get too much iodine, it's actually quite toxic to our bodies, but not enough is not a good thing either, right? So I do eat seaweeds on a maybe irregular basis and switching up the kind of seaweeds I eat, so I'll get iodine as well as other trace minerals, because other trace minerals are quite critical for our health. You could say this same chart for sodium. I've known raw vegans that don't eat any salt, shun salt, they don't eat enough celery, and then they're basically sodium deficient. You know, being sodium deficient is really rare. It's more than likely that, and especially most Americans, have way too much sodium on this side, which is definitely not good. Another thing like could be iron, right? Iron's an important nutrient to have for good blood cells, and if you don't get enough, it's not good. Like if you're under eating, especially not eating enough calories, not eating enough leafy greens that are riches and good sources of iron. You're eating too much meat and you get way too much iron. Iron is an oxidant. Too much iron is not good. It'll basically oxidize you from the inside out. It's what like iron rusts on cars, for example, you know? And so a lot of nutrients are like this, you know. You want to get that sweet spot right down in here, the ideal amount. Otherwise, it could be quite bad. Now we're getting into the topic that I really want to discuss today, is the U curve of things like fasting, exercise, and fruit, for that matter. Now here's the thing, a lot of raw foodists believe that you just go to some natural hygiene style fasting retreat, and the longer you fast, the better it is for your health, you know, because if you go longer, your body's detoxing deeper and deeper and deeper. Well, here's the thing, guys, in my opinion, and based on the science, you can detox and fast to death. And a matter of fact, it has happened in the past at some different non-medically supervised fasting centers. I know people that have killed people doing water fasting. So for that reason, I personally do not recommend going to any fasting center unless it's a medically supervised fasting center. And the one I recommend is True North Health Center in Santa Rosa, California. A matter of fact, I sent both my parents there. And yes, my dad did do a 30 full day water fast, fully medical supervised and safely, so they did not injure or hurt his body. You know, just going rambunctiously to a non-medically supervised fasting center can literally cost your life. You can overfast, deplete your body, and be even worse off, in my opinion, than when you walked in there in the first place. And, you know, this is not conjecture, I'm not just saying this. I mean, there are scientific studies. Now, this is a case study, but it says malnourished-induced Wernicke's encephalopathy, I can't say these big words, following a water-only fasting diet. And basically, following a 40-day water fasting diet, the thiamine basically dropped so low that, you know, the person was malnourished. You could also get low in electrolytes. You know, I'm no expert on water fasting, and, you know, I'm not the one to tell you guys how long you should water fast. But, John, how much is safe? Well, that depends on you. That depends on your fat stores, your nutrition stores, and I don't know the answer. But what I do know is that fasting can be safe if done appropriately. And on the back of this, we have another study. It says, is fasting safe? A chart review of adverse events during medically supervised water-only fasting. And the conclusion is this. To our knowledge, this is the most comprehensive analysis of AEs experienced during medically supervised water-only fasting conducted to date. Overall, our data indicate that majority of AEs experienced were mild to moderate and known reactions to fasting. This suggests that protocols used in the study can be safely implemented in a medical setting with minimal risk of SAEs. And the SAE is a severe adverse event. So, and this was done at actually True North Health Center. So, you know, that's the thing. Maybe too little fasting is not good because you're not flushing things out of you to a deeper level, right? But I also believe that just eating a raw food, plant-based, low on the food chain diet your body will detox naturally. Our bodies are meant to detox. That's what they're doing on a regular basis now by taking a break from all food and going on a water only fast. Maybe it happens a bit faster. And maybe if you don't want to, take the risk and do the water fast, you might want to do something like a juice fast, which may help to detoxify you more slowly. That being said, different methods of detoxification will detoxify you in different ways. So I wouldn't say juice fasting is as good as water fasting. They're different things, and you might want to try each of them, to, cleanse out and heal in different methods. So we saw that, yes, fasting could have a U-curve. Fast too much, you could get depleted. Fast too little, maybe you're still too toxic. Fast just the right amount, and it could actually be a healthy and good thing. Next, we're going to talk about exercise. Everybody thinks exercise, it's good, so I should just exercise and keep exercising and all this stuff and just, run a marathon every single day, right? Well, here's the thing. It is commonly known and proven in the exercise world that too much exercise is a bad thing. That being said, the problem with most Americans is that they do not get enough exercise, probably including me. I'm probably in the lower end of the U-curve. I probably should get more exercise. I'll be honest with you guys about that. I ain't perfect. I'm still working on my own stuff. But here's the thing, here's a study. Once again, links down below in the description to all these studies that I'm referencing. The U-shaped relationship between exercise and cardiac morbidity. So it says, the dose of physical activity required to achieve these benefits is relatively modest and equates to jogging at a pace of 15 minutes per mile for 20 to 30 minutes daily. And it says, in the current area, most athletes engage in a volume and intensity of exercise that is at least 5 to 10-fold greater than the JACC recommendations for physical activity. Such practice is evidenced by the fact that many sportsmen have achieved athletic feats that were considered impossible only 2 decades ago. Numerous studies in retired athletes have commonly shown a reduced instances of heart disease and increased longevity of life. Occasionally, however, intense exercise is associated with sudden death in athletes harboring quiescent yet potentially sinister cardiac diseases. So yes, even too much exercise could be a bad thing. Don't take that and say, oh, too much exercise is good, I'm not going to do any. No, exercise is critically important, and they have their own U-based curve on the back. At moderate exercise amounts, your obesity could go down, your blood pressure could go down, your diabetes could go down, your risk of CAD could go down, risk of AF is going to go down. And then functional capacity and prognosis in HF is going to go up. Anyways, at some point, you can see this little graph here goes down, but then it starts shooting up pretty radically. So, if you get more than 12 METs, about 12 METs is probably like the bottom of the U-curve, but then it really goes up quite quickly, showing that, you could have a lot of different health challenges from over-exercising. And here's the thing, guys, most of us, unless you're like an athlete that's really working out a lot, we don't have to worry about this. But I just want you to know that over-exercising is not good for cardiovascular, but even just your bones, muscles, and joints, right? If you have a lot of pain when you're exercising, whether you're just overlifting weights and all this stuff because you want to get pumped up, right? It's not a good thing, guys. I mean, yes, our body needs to be put under stress and all these things, but too much of a good thing is a bad thing. And that's the point of this video. So the most important part of this episode for me is about fruit, and is there a U-curve with fruit? Many raw foodists would believe fruit is the ideal food for humans. We are frugivores by nature, therefore we should just eat only fruit and exclude vegetables. Many other people may think fruit is the ideal food, so I'm just getting a lot of it and eat very little vegetables because yeah, there's some nutrients in vegetables I need, but fruit's the best and I'm just going to eat tons of fruit to get my calories. And if you're on a raw vegan diet, in my opinion, it can be very restrictive, and in many cases, I mean, pretty much most raw foodists get the majority of their calories from fruit. I'll put some links down below to some videos I recently made on how a raw food diet can be very restrictive and how to unrestrict it. if that's your goal, and maybe even how to get it a little bit healthier if that is your goal as well. That being said, if your goal is just to eat a lot of fruit, hey, keep on eating fruit. If you think it's working for you, do that. But I'm sharing with you guys the science and that goes over actually long-term health outcomes of eating fruit and in a person's diet. So these are not fruit-based or vegan people or anything. If you might want to believe, but John, if they eat only fruit and they're fruitarian, they're going to get extra benefits. I mean, that is not proven in science. I would not stake my life on that personally, because I've significantly modified my diet, and my goal is to get my calories from vegetables. So we'll read about this study that came out 2021 April 27th, and the topic is fruit and vegetable intake and mortality. Results from 2 prospective cohort studies in the U.S., men and women, and a meta-analysis of 26 cohort studies. So they literally took data from 26 studies to summarize it in this, and this is long-term mortality. It's like, and so they talk about a lot of different things, so I'm just going to cover a small section of this. And so once again, link down below if you guys want to review it. So basically we're going to get into some of the results, and it said intake of approximately 5 servings per day of fruit and vegetables, or 2 servings of fruit and 3 servings of vegetables, was associated with the lowest mortality. Alright, so I just want to jump down to the results here. Intake of approximately 5 servings per day of fruit and vegetables, or 2 servings of fruit and 3 servings of vegetables, was associated with the lowest mortality. So, these are just regular common people eaters, and they showed that 5 servings of fruit and vegetables, or 2 servings of fruit and 3 servings of vegetables. So basically they found that, 1 extra serving of vegetables was more important than, eating more fruit. So I want you guys to, focus on eating more vegetables. I see a lot of what I eat today is for raw vegans, and they're just pounding in a lot of fruit. And I personally don't see a lot of vegetable consumption, which makes me sad, because in my personal opinion, that will hurt their end game. If that's important to them, maybe many raw foodists are not eating for their end game or overall long-term health or longevity, and then they could eat whatever they'd like. All right, then moving to the back here, conclusions. Higher intakes of fruits and vegetables were associated with lower morbidity. The risk reduction plateaued at approximately 5 servings of fruit and vegetables per day. So yeah, 5 servings of fruits and vegetables per day in this study, and they're eating a lot of other things besides fruits and vegetables. So you might think, this does not apply to me because I'm a raw foodist and I have different rules that apply to me. But here's the thing that I've learned over my many years of being a raw foodist, and especially with some of the new emerging research with microbiome, is that the greater our diversity of foods, types of foods, and food groups that we eat, the healthier we will be in the long run. Because for every extra piece of fruit you eat, it means an extra vegetable, or maybe even a sprouted grain, nut, legume, or seed, or seaweed that you're not eating. So there's always opportunity cost with eating extra pieces of fruit, because now you're not eating something else that may benefit you, your nutritional profile, the phytonutrients and micronutrients you're getting in, or especially the different kinds of fiber, because every different kind of plant food has different kinds of fiber. The most interesting part of this study here was actually one of the graphs, because they also did like a lot of different graphs in there, but I'm only going to highlight these 2 graphs because I thought they were kind of poignant. And these are 2 graphs. Over on this side we have basically, they narrowed out fruit-only consumption. So you can see this is a U-based curve up at this side. If you don't eat any fruit, like most Americans don't eat enough fruit, so I'm going to say that, fruitarians, in my opinion, probably eat too much fruit, right? Vegetarians, right? If you're just vegetarian, you don't eat dairy, you may not be eating enough fruit either, because you're eating a junk food vegetarian or even vegan diet, right? So not enough fruit showed it wasn't good, right? Then as you went down, your risk reduced, and I think this is about at the 3 servings mark. It was at the lowest, but then look at this, right? The U curve starts to increase, right? Up to 5 servings, that U curve is getting higher. It's not quite hitting the, not eating any fruit mark, but if they extended this out, I would believe that it would even go higher up. At some point, it would actually level off. So here's the thing, man. If you eat too much fruit, once again, you're not eating enough of other foods that will benefit you more than eating additional fruit. I hope you guys followed that, all right? Meanwhile, let's look at the vegetable curve, right? The vegetable curve is much more interesting to me because, you know, once again, vegetables, actually not eating vegetables is even more detrimental to your health, in my opinion, than not eating fruit, right? Most Americans don't eat enough vegetables because most Americans eat things like potatoes and maybe ketchup for their vegetable consumption. And interestingly enough, starchy vegetables, and they mention like corn and peas and even things like white potatoes or even fruit juice, right, did not have these same associations. You cannot say, oh, I eat enough potatoes, so I eat my vegetables. No, those do not count as vegetables. I want you guys to especially focus on leafy greens and herbs, wild greens, and other vegetables. And, you know, that's what I'm going to say. So anyways, not eating your vegetables, very and critically important to your health, maybe a little more important than fruit because the up here was a little bit higher. And then check this out, guys. As you go down, maybe around 3 servings of vegetables, it basically comes to a straight line. So how far would this straight line go out if they basically had to go out and then finally come up at some point? Because at some point, too many vegetables are not good either, but this chart shows that even at 8 servings a day, it's basically your benefits are still the same as eating, you know, 3 servings a day. And so, John, you say you eat a lot of vegetables. Well, here's the thing. This study did not necessarily account for the specific types of vegetables. You could just eat 8 servings of carrots a day. Oh, I got 8 servings of carrots, and you think you're going to be good. But my personal belief is that the wider diversity of vegetables and fruits you eat, the healthier you're going to be. So instead of having like a mono meal of only mangoes, right? So you only eat mangoes that day and maybe like some romaine, a little dressing on it, right? Eat like 1 mango, eat some blueberries and some strawberries instead of just eating like 4 mangoes, right? To balance out, because now you're not only having a lot of servings of fruit, but you're having different kinds of fruit. These different kinds of fruit have different kinds of fibers. They also have different kinds of vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients. Same thing with your vegetables. My goal is to maximize my vegetable intake, and more importantly than just eating more vegetables, right? Increase the kinds of vegetables that I'm eating. That's why I grow a garden and can harvest, you know, in a video with Lissa from Raw Food Romance, I think she ate nearly 100 different kinds of vegetables and plants from my garden. And so I try to grow a lot, and when I make a salad, I'll pick like one of this, one of that, one of that, and I'll have like 30 different ingredients in my salad. It might be only 1 or 2 or 3 leaves of each different plant, but I'm eating a wide variety of vegetables because each of these vegetables, based on the science that I reviewed, can confer different benefits and have different phytonutrients in there for you. So your goal should not just be ramping up the servings of vegetables, but also ramp up the different types of vegetables. So get 1 serving of broccoli, 1 serving of dandelion greens, 1 serving of katuk. So we want to eat many different kinds of vegetables. And as you guys could see, once again, showing you guys this, once again, fruit peaks out, starts going up, just like the exercise, just like the vitamin sun levels, just like the vitamin D levels. But the vegetables remain pretty solid. So here's the thing I'll say in the end of this video, right? The goal of this video was to get you to eat more vegetables because in science, you know, mortality studies is showing that they can be more beneficial than fruit for long-term health outcomes. Maybe your long-term health outcome is not something important to you, and I respect that completely. Maybe you don't care about your long-term health outcome. You care about today and enjoying your damn mango mono meal. Dude, don't watch this video then, man. Eat your mango mono meal and enjoy it. But for those of you guys that do care about your health and long-term longevity and long-term, you know, health outcome, I would encourage you guys, once again, you know, inch down your fruit a little bit. Hey, you know, instead of 2 meals of fruit a day, you know, get 1 meal of fruit a day and have some berries too, but try to increase your vegetable consumption. How can you increase your vegetable consumption? Well, you could make things like smoothies. Smoothies are a great way to like pile in a bunch of greens. Yeah, put a couple bananas in your green smoothie, but you know, it kind of makes me sad when I see people cram in like 10 bananas in a blender with water and then maybe even add extra sugar and chug that down because in my opinion, that's totally not healthy. So maybe put a bunch of greens, half a pound of greens, you know, 1 or 2 bananas for a little bit of sweetness and blend that up. You know, you are moving in the right direction. Get a mixed, you know, baby green salad to put in your blender. So now you got like 5 different ingredients in there. the way I like to increase my vegetables, and today I've already had 2 vegetable juices, including a 32-ounce green juice, which has, you know, about 4 pounds of leafy green vegetables. Also had about a 24-ounce root juice today, which had like red cabbage as well as other root vegetables. Links down below to my Instagram so you guys can see how I ramp up my vegetable consumption on a raw vegan diet. If that's the program you are on, that's the best way to get our vegetables in my opinion, because as you start processing vegetables, you know, then the nutrition can go down. That being said, I would even prefer that you guys steam some vegetables, cook them in water, not on a wok, not in a pan, not in the oven, you know, instead of eat extra fruit if you guys need to get some calories. And I don't recommend consumption of white potatoes or russet potatoes. I recommend the consumption of things like purple potatoes, purple sweet potatoes that have a lot less sugar and are more health beneficial if you care about these things. Alright, so that's pretty much the summary of this episode. I hope you guys really enjoyed this episode. And if this message reaches just one of you guys that are eating higher on the fruit scale and get to eat a few more vegetables, I could be secure that I've done my job and that all my 27 years of eating a raw vegan diet have not been in vain, because my goal in the end is to share what I've learned with you guys out there, because I almost lost my life. I was given a second chance at life, left on this planet for a mission, and in my belief, one of those missions are to share what I've learned with others, to enrich other people's lives, to make other people's lives better, including my future kids that I have not had yet, with my future wife that I have not met yet either. So wish me luck on that one, but I really hope and sincerely wish that you guys benefited from this video. And if you guys like this content, want me to do more whiteboards in the future, hey, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Also be sure to share this video in other raw food forums and people that may need to hear this message. That'll encourage me to make more videos like this one. Also be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss out on my new and upcoming episodes. I'm coming out about every 5 to 7 days. You don't know where I'll show up or what you'll be learning on my YouTube channel. And make sure you click the little bell as my new videos come out. And finally, be sure to check my past episodes. My past episodes are a wealth of knowledge, and this is information you guys aren't going to hear on any other raw foods channel, because I'm a little bit Divergent, which is one of my favorite movies anyways, you know, about how I do my raw foods diet based on some of the science that's out there, and how to maximize my health and longevity, which are actually really essential to me, especially after almost losing my life. So with that, my name is John Kohler with okraw.com. We'll see you next time, and until then, remember, keep eating your fresh fruits and vegetables. They're always the best.